North Korea, a state of contradiction and mystery. No one knows what really happens behind the segregated curtains. The reports in the media mostly revolve around the threatening attempts of the nuclear program, the aggressive military attitude towards the U.S., the suppressive dictatorial regime, and the isolation from the outside world. International tensions are rising on a daily basis. The need for dialogue and conflict resolution is indispensable. The Independent International Peace Foundation and the Korean National Peace Committee jointly facilitated an event series called Bridges, Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace, to start a non-political dialogue on the scientific level. With the anticipation of 3 Nobel Laureates in the fields of economics, medicine, and chemistry, this event series was held in Pyongyang, the capital city of North Korea, in May 2016.
It was an unbelievable experience, unbelievable experience. I've never been to a communist state before, a communist country before, or to any society that is really under pressure. So I grew up in a free country and I was always pushed to freedom, independence, self-reliance, independent thinking. So it was really the opposite of the 67 years that I'm walking on the face of Earth.
My wife thought North Korea was a dangerous place to go to. Good chance you could get arrested and end up in jail. The level of poverty was very high. These were not nice people to deal with because they hated the US so much. And so, what could you possibly say to them? What sort of interaction could you have that might be productive in some way?
Some friends suggested, we hope to see you back here. I was never worried about whether I would come back or not. I was sure it would be fine, even with an American wife.
So people told me that it's immoral to go, and I said, I'm detached from the politics. I will not be involved in any political issue, and though I'm going for one purpose: to see it out of curiosity. It's a second important reason, and it's a first important reason to try and build a bridge.
Now, the position of most countries and the media outside of your country towards your country is that this is a dictatorial regime which is military very aggressive.
Prince Alfred said that the outside world are looking at our country as dangerous ones.
Aggressive, dangerous, yes.
Yes, but I don't agree with him. I don't agree with the outside world. I think the one thing to be sure is that everybody here wants the peace.
Yeah.
I think the real dangerous ones are the someone who have the 20,000 nuclear bombs and the nuclear bombers and the submarines with the IBMs.
Yeah.
Then just think, who is more dangerous? The DPRK or the outside world?
But on the other hand, this is mirrored because mainly you see the outside world as military, aggressive, and very dangerous to your country. If you are seriously interested in a dialogue or in peace, then you have to understand both sides, and look at the history of this country and what they think and so on. And if we face different regimes which are not fitting in the democratic concept, we have basically two choices. Either we go in confrontation or we enter into dialogue. And the more we go into the confrontation, the more likely some military intervention or war will happen. And this is not what many people want to see today, including me, myself, and our International Peace Foundation.
And I think science has the opportunity to bring people together in ways that almost nothing else does. Maybe the arts can bring them together, but science for sure. You know, and the nice thing about science is scientists disagree all the time. You know, we fight about this and that and the other, but we don't find it necessary to go to war in order to solve our difficulties. You know, we can talk about them, and we have a common basis. You know, 2 + 2 = 4, whether you're in North Korea or in the USA.
In cooperation with the Ministry of Higher Education, the Nobel Laureates were invited to speak at 3 significant universities in the country, such as Kim Il-sung University, Chaek University of Technology, and the Pyongyang University of Science and Technology.
The event took place at a larger auditorium, and the professors, they gave speeches on Professor Aaron Ciechanover on personalized medicine revolution. So Richard Roberts was speaking about how he received the Nobel Prize, the path to his Nobel Prize. And Professor Kydland, he talked about economic policy and economic developments. Including these events as a major part was that we listened to the North Korean side. So the professors there gave presentations where we responded. We created open forums and dialogues, which was the main purpose of the visit.
After the official lectures, the students had the opportunity to engage directly with the Nobel Laureates and ask specific questions about their field of interest.
It started always cold, but then they warmed up, and especially what I liked is the after lecture. When they came around us and asked, and they knew very well about what I do. I mean, the lady, of course, the lady that gave the talk, but all the others, they asked questions about proteins and why they degrade it. But again, the questions were on this. As good as they were on the outer envelope, because they don't have access to the recent papers on it.
And you get information from outside, especially academic information.
Our university has a symposium, maybe 4th or 5th times a year, international symposium. So this is a very significant chance for us to understanding the outer environment and their study.
My future is behind me. Their future is ahead of them. It's my job and my role and my duty to transfer to them inspiration, ways of developing careers, because they are the future.
I was especially impressed by how well many students speak English. Less impressed by the professors, I suppose, but they probably learned English at the older age. People do learn new languages much more easily if they start early, and so maybe that shouldn't surprise me.
Well, you know, one of the things is I think the North Koreans are their own worst enemies. That they wanted to make an impression on us. They wanted to show us the good stuff. They wanted us to think, hey, we're visiting a society that is actually very good. And yet they go out of their way to hide things from us that, you know, they feel are embarrassing in some way. Whereas in fact they're not at all embarrassing. You know, I was trying to get onto the internet, trying to find out did they have access to the internet. And the bottom line was, every time I asked, they said, yes, we have access to the internet. But as soon as I put it to the test, you know, I'm a scientist, I do an experiment, I tested it, and they couldn't get on. And so then after this incident happens, then of course they come along and explain, oh yes, this is the way that we get onto the internet. We have some intermediary that we go to, and we talk to them, and they will either let us on or not, depending upon where we want to go. So the students themselves do not have the opportunity directly to get to the internet.
So on one hand you push education, but on the other hand you narrow it. So there is something inherently contradictory in that approach. And the kids, even though they are very disciplined and indoctrinated and everything is infused into the veins, but But it's okay. I mean, I don't mind. You know, I'm very disciplined, and so for me, push education in tons, it's good. I mean, I'm not against it. But obviously, the question is the limit. You know, if at the same time, part of the education is indoctrination and worshiping the great leader, then it takes from the value of the education because it doesn't let you evolve yourself.
In many Asian countries, they feel that they control everything from the top and they can control it. And so, but you can't control creativity. Right? They all want Nobel Prizes, but you need to be creative. You need to do something that is unique if you want to win a Nobel Prize. And this idea that you can control what people do and then have them win Nobel Prizes makes no sense. You know, it's just not the way that creativity works.
I think the most important thing is the loyalty to our country and to our party and to our leader.
The ideological formation in our country is that since our great leader, President Kim Il-sung, recovered our country from Japanese colony, our feelings towards him is that we regard him like our own father. This kind of spirit that being a member of the society to devote without any exaggeration, just wholeheartedly, because we know that in the 1990s we had difficulties as well. I mean, it's total devastation at the time. But why our system has not collapsed? One reason is that we firmly believed that as long as we are with the great leader, Comrade Kim Jong-il, as our supreme leader of our country, we have the future.
But they cannot hold around you cannot live for long with the view that the whole world is against you. You must join somehow the world. I mean, otherwise you cannot. The pressure is too big. You'll collapse in.
Besides the scientific exchange at the universities, the Nobel laureates were taken to selected facilities and institutions outside of the academic context to get a broader understanding of the country.
We visited a children's hospital. We visited the newly built Sci-Tech Complex. We visited the Children's Palace, even a fun fair, like an amusement park, and the Taekwondo performance. We visited scientists at the newly built MIRAE Scientist Street, so we went to the homes of the scientists, and we also went to a farm outside Pyongyang.
We went to the MRI facility. We saw a child that has a tumor in the brain. We looked at the MRI, we talked to the radiologist. We saw many patients around, women holding the babies, waiting. There is always a suspicion when you're coming to such police countries that they're staging for you. There were elements of staging, of course, but not in the hospital.
The first floor and the second floor, they deal with the normal patients, and on the third floor there is a comprehensive operation theater, and from the third floor to sixth floor is their hospitalized children. The hospitalized children stay for quite a long.
How many beds?
Around more than 300 beds here.
300 beds. So again, you have to calculate it against the population. 300 beds has their limits.
Yeah, 300 beds in a...
But they have also outpatients, so they can see also patients. They have clinics like the ophthalmology clinic, so the patients are coming and going. So that increases the turnover. We were in several places. It was full of kids. I mean, full of kids. We were in the laboratory of physics. We were in a place where they paint calligraphies. We were in places where they sew and dancing and playing traditional instruments.
Also, especially the performance we got to see. Those kids were unbelievable in their ability.
I think it was very difficult because, you know, whenever you get a dignitary visiting somewhere, you want to show the best side of everything.
The idea is to take tourists to a water park as if in their country they haven't seen it. But for them, it's a show, no show. They want to prove to the world that they are normal. But normally, you don't need to show that you are normal. I'm not trying to convince you that I'm a normal person. I don't know, it was very contradictory.
We saw some faculty housing and what their apartments look like. There's no way for us to know if they were representative for the way it is for most people. So I would be a little reluctant to speculate about what living conditions are like for the average person.
You know, there are thousands of little items that are now sitting in my head that gives me a picture. I thought it's much, much worse. Much, much worse. But on the other hand, don't forget that we were well treated, we were taken, we were put in a cotton wool cover.
We need to get the students out and to see what goes on in other laboratories, because then they can come back and they're the future of the country. And so if they have some better ideas of how to do things and can work out within their own system how to implement change, I think that would be great. And I don't think change has to be violent change. Change can be done peacefully. But if enough people all get together and decide, well, this is something we really need to do, I think they can do it.
So you are young people. You think you can help achieve peace with your generation?
Yes, I think we are the ones who are responsible for the world peace.
Yes.
Young generations must be the pioneers to build the peace of the world.
I mean, the science and technology, all people all over the world, they develop together because we are all human beings and we have to make we have to try to make a great contribution to the development of our world together.
As an outcome, two of the Nobel laureates invited the two students each to study and work in their lab in the United States and in Israel. So we hope this will push through. We will also surely travel to the country again and possibly have this program now on a bi-yearly basis, so that the country opens up more and more for cooperation, understanding and peace.
And they all, unisono, they told me, we want a peace treaty with the United States. And if we get a peace treaty and if we get the right, for self-determination, if we can negotiate freely about the future of the Korean nation as a whole, we are prepared to discuss to put our nuclear program under international control. They are not rejecting this. This is what I was told on all levels up to the highest level.